The night before our mating ceremony, my fated mate, Alpha Riker of the Howling Moon Pack, ordered me to give him the Moon Soul Crystal, the very thing that protected my pack, the Willow Creek Pack. He said he needed it to power up the Howling Moon Pack's Blood Moon altar. He also promised he'd keep me and my people safe. But he didn't know that we, the healers of the Willow Creek Pack, can only create one Moon Soul Crystal in our entire lives. Making one takes a crazy amount of moon energy. It's the treasure that keeps our pack alive. My mother, worried about me using up my moon energy while I was pregnant, gave up her own Moon Soul Crystal instead. But just 3 months after Riker and I were mated, she got sick, fast. She was dying. I knelt in front of Riker, crying, begging him for the silverleaf herb from the Howling Moon's forbidden grounds. It was the only thing that could save my mom. But he just looked at me, his eyes full of disappointment, and kicked me away. I asked for the Moon Soul Crystal to test you, he snarled. And just as I thought, you married me for our pack's treasures. Your mother's not sick. You're making it all up. You don't deserve to be the Luna of the Howling Moon Pack. It wasn't until after my mother died, when he was arguing with me, trying to kick me out of the pack, that my mother's things fell and scattered everywhere. Her soul stone, the symbol of a wolf's spirit, shattered. That's when he finally realized he was wrong. He fell to his knees, begging me not to leave, crying for me to forgive him. The night before our mating ceremony, Riker, my alpha, pinned me against the wall, his hot breath fanning my neck. I thought he wanted to mate with me again before the ceremony. But then, out of nowhere, he demanded I give him the Willow Creek Pack's Moon Soul Crystal. That crystal can only be made by a Willow Creek healer when she first awakens her mating bond, using the purest energy. If we lost it, the Willow Creek Pack would lose all its protection. We'd be in mortal danger. But there wasn't a hint of softness in Riker's eyes, nothing like a mate's. Just a cold command. Selena, his voice was a low, chilling rumble, you're about to be my Luna. The pack needs you to contribute. The Moon Soul Crystal will boost our Blood Moon altar, awaken the ancestral totems. It's vital for the Howling Moon Pack. He saw me hesitate. He put his hand on my stomach, and the pressure was unsettling. You're carrying my child, Selena. You're not a Willow Creek wolf anymore. Protecting Howling Moon, raising our heir, that's your future now. Give me the crystal, and I'll protect Willow Creek. And I'll take better care of you both. He leaned down, and his kisses rained down on my face, so possessive, like he wanted to swallow me whole. For my baby, for my people in Willow Creek, I agreed. My mother, Elara, used up all her life's moon energy to temporarily seal the Moon Soul Crystal's power and put it in my hands. Was cold, trembling. I know Alpha Riker has big responsibilities, she said weakly, trying to comfort me. Just seeing you and the baby safe, that's all I want. I'm willing to give up the crystal. But just 3 months after the mating ceremony, my mother's life force started to drain, fast. Only the silverleaf herb from the Howling Moon's forbidden grounds could save her. I knelt before Riker, begging him to help. He just stared at me, cold, like I was some stranger making a scene. The key to his vault was with Bryn, his most trusted female warrior, the one who always looked at me with suspicion and jealousy. Selena, Riker's voice was flat, the silverleaf herb is for elders who've done great things for the pack, or for the alpha to break through his own limits. Elara has made her contribution. Her honor will be remembered. But the pack's future is more important. I broke down, screaming at him. But he thought I was using my mother's illness and my pregnancy to blackmail him, to challenge him. He grabbed my chin, his eyes fierce. You just became my Luna, and you think having my baby gives you power over me? The Luna of the Howling Moon Pack must be loyal and obedient, first and foremost. What you did today proves you're not fit to carry my heir. His cold fingers brushed over my still flat stomach. Then, he ordered his shamans to perform a painful, bloodline stripping ritual on me, saying it was to cleanse the bloodline, to stop any impure emotions from tainting the baby. The ritual didn't kill the baby outright, but it badly damaged its wolf essence. It had almost no chance of being born healthy. It was a death sentence. I couldn't even think about how sick I felt. My mother was waiting for me. I desperately tried to find another way to save her, even doing the lowliest chores in the deepest part of the wolf fort's herb room. But I still couldn't afford even a single leaf of those rare herbs. The day my mother died, I couldn't even buy a burial slab etched with protective runes. I was holding my mother's cold belongings, a simple wooden totem she always used, walking back to my small hut. As I passed the Pax Plaza of Honor, I saw Riker holding a small but grand ceremony for Bryn, giving her a silver moon badge, a symbol of the Alpha's special trust. Bryn shot me a smug look, then cooed at Riker, "You were right, Alpha. Wolves from those small, outlying packs are just selfish and weak deep down. You can't trust them." Looks like I won our little bet. My hands, clutching her things, were shaking so bad. So, my mother's life, my lost baby, it was all just a game to test my loyalty. Just a wager. Riker's voice was terrifyingly calm. He didn't even look at me, just coolly fastened Bryn's weapon belt. "Indeed, I misjudged. This badge, you earned it." She was just a trial in my search for a true mate. Bryn snuggled into his arms, all smug. They got on Riker's mount and rode off. I stood there, holding my mother's things, for a long, long time. That silver moon badge, just the materials were worth a fortune, and forging it would cost even more. But I had less than 20 silver wolf coins on me, not even enough for half a day of my mother's medicine. Now, it was all I had. I stumbled back to my hut, a mess. The captain of the guard, the one who collected the moon energy tax, was waiting at the door. As a member of the Howling Moon Pack, everyone had to pay this tax monthly to keep up the pack's wards and daily operations. The Luna was supposed to be exempt, but I was already seen as an outcast. "Selena, you're 2 months behind on your moon energy tax. If you don't pay up, you'll be kicked out of the pack." I let out a bitter laugh, clenching the silver coins in my hand, and just said, "Sorry, I can't pay right now. I'll move out soon." The captain's eyes held a hint of mockery. "What? Alpha Riker didn't set you up with a new place?" I saw him showing Captain Bryn around the Luna's exclusive moonlit tower the other day. I just looked down, a bitter smile on my face, not knowing what to say. Just then, Riker turned the corner from a nearby hallway. When he saw me, he made an annoyed, tisk sound and threw a scroll of animal hide at me, so hard I stumbled. The captain immediately bowed respectfully to Riker, then said, a little awkwardly, "Alpha, Selena's moon energy tax." Riker cut him off, looking at me with contempt. "A descendant of Willow Creek healers, and now that you've joined Howling Moon, you won't even make the most basic contribution to the pack." I didn't want to respond to his scorn anymore. The moon soul crystal, which my mother had given her life and all of Willow Creek's hope for, was just a prop in his game, and it had destroyed my mother. He scoffed, pulled out a handful of shiny moonstones, and threw them hard in my face. The cold crystals cut my cheek, stinging like fire. "Since you care so much, here, a little something for you. Go by your cheap pride and pathetic dignity." Shiny moonstones scattered on the ground, beautiful as stars, but it all felt so ridiculous to me. A few days ago, for my mother, I might have scrambled to pick them up. But now, they looked dirtier than the dust on the floor. I ignored the stinging pain on my face and didn't even look at Riker's disgusted expression. I bent down, picked up enough crystals to pay for 2 months' rent, and handed them to the captain of the guard. Then, I pushed open the door to my hut and went inside. This small, dark room was supposedly mine after Riker and I mated. A few of his old things were still tossed in a corner, his overbearing scent still clung to the air. I'd been so naive, thinking this would be our new beginning, a nest for our love and future. My eyes fell on the table. On the day the moon goddess stone showed our mate mark, he'd carved a vow of love for me there. I couldn't forget how he first came to Willow Creek as an alpha, powerful, cold, but with a hint of something searching in his eyes. He told me I was the moon goddess's choice, the future Luna of the Howling Moon Pack. His words, like magic vines, wrapped around me, making it impossible to resist the pull of our blood connection. Even though I knew we were worlds apart in status, I fell head over heels for him. I tried so hard to learn the Howling Moon Pack's rules, to get used to their cold hierarchy, to be a good Luna, just to see a flicker of approval in his eyes. 2 years. I lived like a fool in the web of lies he spun. Now, it was all gone. All my dreams for the future were just me playing a pathetic role in his alpha power games. My heart was a mess of emotions. Riker didn't notice anything different about me. He strode in and sat right down in the only decent animal skin chair, like he still owned the place. Satisfied, Selena? His voice dripped with sarcasm. That greedy look on your face really reminds me of the lowest hyenas. The way you look now, so greedy and cheap, it disgusts me. How did you turn into this? When you first came to Howling Moon, weren't you all pure, innocent, and submissive? Just one moon soul crystal, a few worthless herbs, and you show your true colors. Ever since you gave me that crystal, you've done nothing but demand things from me. You even wanted treasures from our pack's forbidden grounds. Was all that obedience, all that loyalty you talked about, just a setup so you could get more from me today? I looked up, meeting his gaze. Calmly. He was wearing the Alpha's ceremonial robes of the Howling Moon Pack today, radiating an authority he couldn't hide. Looks like he was done pretending to be the slightly testing Alpha with me. The disappointment and disgust in his eyes stabbed into my heart, bit by bit. I didn't answer his accusations. I just calmly put the scattered crystals into a worn-out leather pouch and spoke softly, but my voice was firm. I'll use these to get my mother the simplest headstone, and then I'm leaving. Riker, I call upon the moon goddess to witness, from this moment on, I break our mate bond. I, Selena, willingly give up my title as Luna of the Howling Moon Pack. A strange silence filled the small hut for a long time, so long I could almost hear my own heart breaking. Suddenly, Riker let out a low, cold laugh, full of contempt and anger. Break the bond? Selena, you think you have the right? Only the Alpha decides who stays and who goes. He shot up, his tall frame looming over me, full of menace. You even lied about your mother dying just to get the silverleaf herb from me. You know what I hate most? I hate liars. 2 years, and I was completely wrong about you. Even if this bond is to be broken, it's not for a liar like you to say so. His voice was thick with the fury of being fooled. He pulled out a bond-breaking stone tablet, carved with ancient runes, from his belt and slammed it on the ground in front of me. His fresh wolf blood already stained it. This is a blood oath of rejection tablet. I had it ready, just waiting for you to show your true colors. Now, use your blood, finish this ritual, and get out of the Howling Moon Pack. I don't have any more time to waste on you. So, he'd been ready all along. He probably wanted to kick me out the first time I knelt and begged him for the silverleaf herb. I carefully placed the tattered animal skin pouch holding my mother's things on the room's only wooden shelf. Her old wooden comb, the one she used to groom her fur, was already there. Then, step by step, I calmly walked over to Riker. I picked up the stone tablet from the floor, bit my fingertip, and let my red blood drip onto the spot where my blood seal was needed. No hesitation. even though the rejected party would suffer an irreversible soul-deep wound after marking the blood oath. Out of the corner of my eye, I could feel Riker's sharp wolf eyes scanning me up and down, filled with scrutiny, disgust, and a flicker of something complex I couldn't understand. I just felt sick. I wanted it all to be over. After I marked the blood oath, he snorted, then pulled a faintly glowing crystal from another pouch on his waist. It was the Willow Creek Pack's Moon Soul Crystal. Its light was much dimmer now than when my mother had given it to me. He threw the crystal on the ground like trash. Your mother's Moon Soul Crystal, take it back. I didn't use a single bit of its energy. Consider these past 2 years my charity to you. I was blind to misjudge a vile woman like you. I bent down and picked up the cold crystal. It was once my mother's hope, and all of Willow Creek's. Now, it was just a witness to my endless pain. I remembered a few days ago, when my mother was dying, she was delirious, mumbling that she wanted to see Riker one last time. She said she wanted to see us okay, to tell him herself to take care of me. Back then, Riker had lost all patience with me because I kept pestering him for that silverleaf herb. But to grant my mother's last wish, I swallowed my pride and sent him a message through the Wolf Fort's messenger wolf. I waited all night, only to get his cold reply. Not a word of comfort, just a barrage of sarcasm. What trick is she trying to pull now? Is she trying to act like she's on her deathbed to get my pity, so you can keep bugging me for the silverleaf herb? Selena, I'm tired of this cheap act. Tell her to save her breath. The connection cut off. When I tried to contact him again, I found he'd completely blocked me. He never showed up, not even when my mother took her last breath. I'll never forget my mother's last words to me. She said, Selena, my child. When you have your own pups, mother won't be able to help you care for them. A mother wolf is weakest after giving birth. I still wanted to tell Alpha Riker myself to ask him to be good to you, Alpha Riker. He's a strong alpha. You two must make it work. Even at the very end, my mother was thinking of me, hoping Riker and I would have a good future. But she'd never know that the day after I begged Riker for that silverleaf herb, he forced me to drink that bowl of calming herb brew, the kind that could kill a life. He said he didn't want to be threatened by a child of possibly impure blood, that he wanted to crush any idea I had of using my womb to hold on to the Luna position. Having just lost my baby, I was incredibly weak. I didn't even have time to rest. I was buried under the kind of menial chores only the lowest-ranking wolves in the fort did, just to earn a tiny bit of money for ordinary herbs. And what was he doing then? Was he partying every night with Bryn and the other beautiful she-wolves of the Howling Moon Pack, enjoying his supreme alpha power? Or was he and his cronies laughing loudly at me, the stupid, pathetic Luna from a small, outlying pack? Chapter 3:3. I barely had the strength to be angry anymore, just endless sadness and a sense of the absurd. I picked up the Moon Soul Crystal, the one that once held all my mother's hopes and those of the Willow Creek Pack. It was ice-cold, dull, just like my heart now. My mother had given her life for it. It belonged to Willow Creek. I had to take it back. As I bent down to pick up the crystal, I clearly heard Riker snort in disdain, as if my action was a joke to him. I ignored him, carefully put the crystal and the pouch with my mother's things away, and then started to pack my few belongings. Wasn't much to pack, really. Just a few old animal skin clothes my mother had sewn for me, already faded from washing, and some small tools for gathering herbs. The Moon Soul Crystal's energy was extremely weak, but if I could find the right way, maybe I could still find a resting place for my mother in Willow Creek, and put up a stone with her name on it. Just thinking about that made my nose sting. I've never been one to cry easily. I didn't cry during the hardest times in Willow Creek, nor when I was taking care of my sick mother day and night. Even when she took her last breath in my arms, I just ran out of tears. I didn't make a sound. I always held on to some unrealistic fantasy, hoping for a miracle. It wasn't until this moment, when I'd sealed that humiliating blood oath with my own hand. It wasn't until I was holding my mother's cold belongings and this moon soul crystal, which Riker treated like trash, that the harsh reality finally started to sink in. My mother, the wolf who loved me more than anyone in the world, was gone forever. Tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. My hands, trying to pack, wouldn't stop shaking. Just then, someone knocked rudely on the flimsy door of the hut. Riker went to open it, annoyed. I looked over too, out of habit. Bryn was standing there. Right now, she had a smug, undisguised smile on her face. She shot me a contemptuous look, then walked towards Riker. She giggled at Riker, her voice sickeningly sweet. My alpha, I was worried this ungrateful woman might do something desperate, something to hurt you. After all, wolves from those small, outlying packs, they don't know any better. They can be pretty scary when they're cornered. Your bond with her should be broken by now, right? I came specifically to take you back to the moonlit tower. The cold lines on Riker's face softened a bit when he saw Bryn. You're always so thoughtful, Bryn. Bryn lowered her head shyly, rubbing against Riker's arm suggestively. Then, she looked at me again. Such a pleasure, Selena Luna, she said, deliberately emphasizing the word Luna with pure mockery. I've often heard Alpha Riker talk about you. I thought you were different from those short-sighted, clingy she-wolves from the outer packs. Turns out, you're just another liar trying to gain sympathy by sacrificing your mother. Well, now, she smiled even wider, you've got your moon soul crystal back. I heard your mother's spirit hasn't returned to the moon goddess yet. Well, after all the good deeds she did, the moon goddess probably doesn't want her. Selena, you better be careful her resentful spirit doesn't come after you. After all, you're the one who pushed her to her death, aren't you? The emotions I'd been bottling up for so long finally exploded. She could insult me, but I absolutely could not stand her making such a vicious joke about my mother's death. On instinct, I threw down my luggage and lunged. My claws sliced through the air, aimed at her twisted face. Ah! Bryn shrieked. She dodged quickly, but my claws still tore her fancy moon silk cloak. Selena, are you crazy? Riker roared, his voice full of disbelief. How dare you attack someone in front of me? Did you think I really wouldn't dare touch you? Alpha, howling moon pack, stupid rules. None of it mattered to me right now. I had nothing left. All I knew was that this woman had insulted my beloved mother. I ignored Riker's threats and roars, lunged forward again, grabbed a handful of Bryn's messy hair, dragged her up from the ground, and then, with a raised hand, slapped her hard across the other cheek. You venomous bitch. Say that again, I dare you. My voice was hoarse and distorted with extreme anger. But before I could vent all my fury, several burly male werewolves suddenly burst into the hut. They moved fast and ferociously, instantly pinning me to the ground, immobilizing me. Bryn scrambled up from the floor, looking a mess. She clutched her swollen cheek, blood seeping from the corner of her mouth, but her eyes were triumphant. She threw herself into Riker's arms, sobbing, "My Alpha, I'm okay." I provoked her on purpose. I've recorded all the evidence of her attacking me with the latest memory crystal. We can immediately charge her with assaulting a pack mate, insubordination, and completely. I was pinned to the ground by several strong pack guards, my cheek pressed roughly against the floor, unable to move an inch. Bryn pulled out a transparent crystal, only about the size of a fingernail. It was the Howling Moon Pack's newest invention, a miniature memory crystal, capable of silently recording everything happening around it. She smiled brightly at me. Now, I have all the evidence. That way she attacked me, like a mad dog. Alpha, you must teach her a lesson for me. Get me justice. Riker looked at me, his face grim. He slowly pulled off his combat boots, then, step by step, walked over to me. He bent down, raised his hand, and gathered a swirling ball of wild howling moon energy, the hidden power in his bloodline, usually carefully concealed, but now unleashed without hesitation. Then, he slapped me hard across the face. The shadow energy seared through me, an unbearable pain, like my very soul was burning. The agonizing pain I expected hit me right on schedule. I could even hear the faint crack of my own cheekbone. Tears, I couldn't stop them, just gushed out. Not because of the pain, but because of the bone-deep humiliation. Riker's eyes seemed to flicker with an almost imperceptible hint of pity, but it was quickly replaced by intense disappointment and disgust. Selena, I never thought we'd end up like this. His voice was cold, devoid of any emotion. You had a chance to prove your worth. If you could have just endured Bryn's provocation today, accepted all this silently, I would have confirmed your forbearance and loyalty. You could have truly become my Luna. Unfortunately, you disappointed me. You're no different from those lowly wild wolves, easily swayed by emotions. After all, we did have 2 years of history between us, and I did once have a tiny bit of genuine feeling for you. He paused, his tone growing even colder. This blow was just to pay you back for Bryn. Let's part on good terms. You and I, we're not wolves cut from the same cloth, you and I. The Luna position of the Howling Moon Pack, you're not worthy of it. Bryn, sheltered behind Riker, still seemed unsatisfied. She clutched her face, her voice shrill, Riker, dear, you're just too soft. That's why you get tricked by gold-digging she-wolves from these small, outlying packs. Look at her now, completely unrepentant. I bet if she knew the true wealth and supreme power of the Howling Moon Alpha, she'd be on her knees instantly, crying and begging to come back to you, licking your boots. Riker looked down at me, his eyes filled with a kind of pity, like he was looking at an insignificant ant that didn't know its place. But in the 2 years we were together, he never truly cared about me, never even gave me a single decent gift. Instead, it was me, trying my best to meet all his demands, suppressing my own nature, playing the role of the gentle mate he wanted. Perhaps, all of this was also part of his damn test. But if you really counted it up, Selena never owed Riker anything. I lifted my head, and with all my strength, spoke coldly and clearly, is it fun to play with someone's genuine feelings, to trample on their dignity, Riker? In this so-called relationship, I never owed you a thing. It was my foolishness, I couldn't measure up to you, the noble alpha of the Howling Moon Pack. But, Riker, you also have no right to insult me, to insult my mother, to insult my genuine feelings. From beginning to end, it was only you who wronged me. Who wronged my mother? Who wronged the Willow Creek Pack? The second my words were out, another slap, whistling through the air, landed hard. This time, it was Riker's hand. I wronged you. His voice trembled with extreme anger. I wasted 2 whole years on a wretched woman like you. Do you really think those insignificant little things you did for me can make up for the patience and tolerance I showed you for 2 years? You know I'm the alpha of the Howling Moon Pack. My time, my energy, how precious do you think they are? Can a short-sighted she-wolf like you, from some outlying pack, even understand? Riker was flushed red, his chest heaving violently. Bryn, beside him, let out a shrill laugh. Riker, wasn't I right? Bryn giggled, fanning Riker's anger. This kind of low-life wolf, she'll never learn. You wanted to give her a little dignity at the end, and she turns around and blames you. It's ridiculous. For someone so ungrateful, you just need to teach her a good lesson. Once she's scared, once she knows what real despair feels like, she'll naturally get on her knees and apologize. Beg for your forgiveness. She slowly walked over to me, her face, swollen from my slap, twisted with excitement. She bent down, brought her face close to mine, and said, word by word, cruelly, your apology alone isn't enough. Now, I want you to invite your liar mother, who's already ashes, to come out too. Let her, along with you, kowtow and apologize to our noble Alpha Riker. Don't make me dig up her grave myself. If things get too ugly then, a few kowtows won't solve anything. Riker stood by, watching coldly, as if he agreed with Bryn's suggestion. That's right, Selena. If you do something wrong, you admit it, you pay the price. Even your dead mother, even if she's an elder, is no exception. To think I once genuinely saw her as an elder, gave her respect. Turns out, she's just like you, scheming against me from the start, playing along with your act. Truly, like mother, like daughter, both despicable and shameless. I bet it was your wretched mother who told you to get pregnant with my child, right? Trying to control me with a lowly bloodline, make me devoted to you, secure your place in the Howling Moon Pack. Thought I'd be scared of that bastard in your belly, forced to give you whatever you wanted, letting you two manipulate me? As Riker said this, his eyes turned bloodshot, veins popping on his forehead. And you still have the gall to say you owe me, the Howling Moon Pack, nothing. I couldn't take it anymore. I used every last bit of strength in my body and violently broke free from the guards. Their attention had wandered because of Riker and Bryn's taunts, giving me a chance. Like a cornered mother wolf, I lunged, grabbing Bryn by the collar, not caring about anything else. Insult me, hit me, humiliate me, I could take it. But my mother. She did nothing wrong, from start to finish. She was just a loving, humble, kind mother. I wouldn't let anyone insult her with such filthy, vicious words. Tarnish her good name. I'd almost lost my mind, everything was a red haze. I swung my fists wildly, hitting Bryn's twisted face with all my might. The guards, snapping back to reality, yelled in alarm and rushed forward aggressively. One of them, in his haste to stop me, kicked me hard in the side. The force sent me flying backward, and I crashed into the room's only decent, albeit shabby, wooden cabinet. The cabinet toppled with a crash. The pouch with my mother's things, wrapped in old animal skin, and a soul stone she used to wear, a polished moonstone symbolizing the soul's final resting place, were thrown to the ground by the impact. The animal skin pouch rolled aside, covered in dust, its contents scattering. And the soul stone, it rolled right under Bryn's foot. She stepped on it without realizing. A sharp cracking sound echoed in the deathly silent room. The soul stone was broken. A broken soul stone meant the deceased spirit couldn't find peace. For werewolves, this was a terrible disrespect, a disaster. Room instantly fell into dead silence. Everyone froze. Especially Riker. He stared at the soul stone on the floor, now in pieces. The anger and cruelty on his face instantly froze. Disbelief. He stood there, stunned, his lips trembling slightly as he mumbled to himself, This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Bryn clearly investigated. She said your mother was faking her illness. How could she have a soul stone, and how could it break? He jerked his head up, his confident golden eyes now wide with panic. He stared at me, his voice hoarse, Selena, what on earth is going on? Tell me. What is all this? Selena. You better explain this to me. These are all props you prepared beforehand, right? Riker's voice was sharp and shrill from extreme shock and panic. He stalked towards me, his eyes filled with fear. You're still lying to me. You deliberately set all this up to scare me, to make me feel sorry for you, to make me feel guilty. It's all fake, isn't it? Answer me. I had no energy, no desire to deal with his near-hysterical questions. My whole world had collapsed the moment I saw my mother's soul stone so carelessly crushed. I sank to the cold stone floor, my hands shaking uncontrollably as I carefully gathered the broken pieces of the soul stone and my mother's scattered belongings. Every shard felt like it was tearing my soul apart. Every item was like a knife twisting in my already ravaged heart. I ignored the moonstone Riker had carved for me, let it lie forgotten in the corner. Riker was still yelling hysterically in my ear, "Answer me. Selena. Stop acting in front of me. Your mother, she was perfectly healthy before you and I mated. How could she suddenly fall ill within a few short months, and even have her soul stone break? I don't believe it. I absolutely will not believe your nonsense. Stop pretending." He stubbornly clung to his own version, trying to convince himself it was all a lie. But his obvious panic betrayed his true feelings. Meanwhile, Bryn, who had been so smug, was now also at a loss, her expression extremely unnatural. She tried to act calm, but her voice lacked conviction. "Riker, you don't believe her. She must be trying to scam you one last time, that's why she cooked up these scary props. What bad luck. Isn't she afraid of karma? These wolves from outlying packs, they have no bottom line when it comes to getting what they want. Selena, stop your spooky act. You got the moon soul crystal back, and Riker has seen you for who you really are. It's over between you two. If you keep this up, aren't you afraid your evil curses will actually come true for your mother?" Bryn threatened, trying to sound tough but clearly shaken. I had no mental energy left to deal with her vicious attacks and weak excuses. I just wanted to quickly gather the last traces of my mother left in this world, to protect them from any further desecration. But that cruel woman, she still wouldn't leave me alone, wouldn't leave my poor mother alone. She rushed over, lifted her foot, and kicked hard at the small pile of belongings I had just gathered. "If you're going to act, at least make it look real. What normal werewolf uses such a raggedy piece of animal skin to hold relics? Even if they're props, put some effort into it, will you? It's laughable. I feel embarrassed for you." Bryn shrieked, her face a mask of malicious glee. The belongings were cruelly scattered again, fluttering in the air before settling humbly back on the ground. It was like all my strength had been drained. I couldn't hold myself up anymore and collapsed onto the floor. I looked at the scattered items, at Bryn's face twisted with jealousy, and at Riker's shocked and confused expression. Suddenly, I started to laugh. A self-mocking, desperate laugh. "A soul urn," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "In the Howling Moon pack, a soul urn carved from ordinary moonwood costs 300 silver wolf coins." I slowly raised my head, numbly looking at Riker, whose pupils were constricting wildly in disbelief. I explained, pathetically, "My mother, to make sure I could safely deliver the moon soul crystal to you, she sold off the last few furs our Willow Creek pack had to survive the winter. She even pawned the moongrass amulet she'd worn her whole life to a passing merchant. She also humbled herself to borrow over 300 silver wolf coins from other small outlying pack leaders, just to scrape together enough for the journey to Howling Moon and the tribute to safely deliver the crystal. After she gave you the moon soul crystal, her body completely broke down. I knelt before you, begging you for just a little silverleaf herb to save my mother. But you were convinced I was deceiving you. You took away the child in my womb, took away my right to be a mother. I didn't even have time to gather herbs for my mother. I could only do the most demeaning chores in the lowest levels of the wolf fort, just to earn enough for ordinary herbs to ease her pain. And you accused me of neglecting you because I wasn't getting your so-called favor, trying to force your hand. You never listened to my pleas. Even when my mother was dying, her only wish was to see you one last time, to personally ask you to take care of me. But you cruelly refused even that humble request, and just blocked my messages. Yes, I admit it, I'm useless. I couldn't even afford a decent soul urn for my mother to rest in peace. I could only use this tattered animal skin to wrap her belongings. Are you satisfied now? Seeing me so wretched, seeing my mother unable to find peace even after death, does it make you feel especially good? My words were so helpless. I bowed my head and laughed silently, a laugh full of blood and tears. My gaze fell on the piece of animal skin where I had drawn Riker and me first meeting. It was now covered in the dust from my mother's belongings. My father died young. My mother worked tirelessly, raising me alone, teaching me to gather herbs, to heal, teaching me how to survive in the harsh werewolf world. I thought, by becoming the fated mate of the Howling Moon Alpha, I could finally let her stop worrying about survival, let her enjoy her old age. Later, when I brought Riker back to Willow Creek, he told me his parents died when he was young, that he'd fought his way to the Alpha position through brutal power struggles, surrounded by deceit. My mother heard this, and her heart ached for him. She told me again and again, Selena, Alpha Riker had a pitiful childhood, starved for love. You must love him well, soften him with your tenderness. You absolutely cannot let him feel wronged again, cannot let him feel lonely. So, when Riker said he needed Willow Creek's Moon Soul Crystal, to solidify his position, to nourish the Howling Moon's Blood Moon altar, my mother, though heartbroken, agreed even faster and more firmly than I did. But no one expected things to go wrong so suddenly, so quickly. Riker was right. Why was it such a coincidence? I wanted to know too, why was it such a coincidence? Maybe, if my mother hadn't trusted him so easily, maybe, if I hadn't been so foolish as to fall in love with him, maybe, if it had been a little earlier, or a little later, the outcome would have been completely different. My mother wouldn't have been worn down, her life exhausted, because of this damned Moon Soul Crystal, because of his cold, merciless test. Now, no matter how much I regretted, how much I suffered, how much I hated, the ending wouldn't change. I just wanted to finally let my poor mother's soul return to the earth with dignity, to let her find true rest. But why even now, did they have to bully her like this, to trample her dignity like this? My mother, what did she ever do wrong? Her whole life, she was kind and upright, helped countless injured wolves and creatures. She didn't deserve this ending. I shot my head up, and with all my strength, I screamed at Riker, whose face was pale with extreme shock and remorse, a hysterical, blood and tear-filled roar. What did my mother do wrong? And what did I do wrong? To be played with so carelessly by you powerful ones. To be so cruelly humiliated. To be pushed step by step into this desperate situation, with my family destroyed and nowhere to go. Riker. I was wrong. My biggest mistake was believing your seemingly affectionate golden wolf eyes. It was foolishly falling in love with you, you cold-hearted monster. I misjudged you. I killed my mother. I know I was wrong now. I regret it. I'm begging you. Riker. Let me go. And let my poor mother go too. Don't torture us anymore. Please. I'm begging you. Selena. You better tell me what's going on. These are all props you set up, right? Riker's voice was shrill, raw with shock and panic. He advanced on me, step by step. His eyes wide with fear. You're still lying to me. You did all this to scare me, to make me feel sorry for you, to make me feel guilty. It's all fake, isn't it? Answer me. I didn't have the heart, or the energy, to deal with his frantic accusations. The moment I saw Mom's ashes scattered so horribly on the ground, my whole world just fell apart. I dropped to my knees on the cold stone floor. My hands were shaking so badly, but I so carefully, scooped the dust-stained ashes back onto that tattered piece of animal hide. Every handful felt like I was scooping up Mom's soul. Every handful was like another cut to my already shredded heart. I picked up the hide painting I'd secretly carved. On it, Riker and I stood side by side. I'd once imagined the most wonderful future for us. But now, this hide, like my shattered dreams, was filthy. Riker was still screaming in my ear, "Answer me. Selena. Stop putting on an act. Your mother was perfectly fine before you and I mated. How could she suddenly get so sick in just a few months, and even turn to ash? I don't believe it. I absolutely don't believe your crap. Stop pretending." He stubbornly repeated his own thoughts, trying to convince himself it was all a lie. But his obviously flustered movements had already betrayed what he truly felt. Meanwhile, Bryn, who'd been so smug, now looked a bit lost, her expression completely unnatural. She tried to sound calm, but her voice lacked any real confidence. "Riker, sir, don't believe her. She's definitely trying to scam you one last time, that's why she cooked up these scary props. What awful luck. She's not even afraid of karma. Wolves from those tiny fringe packs, they'll stoop to anything to get what they want. Selena, stop playing these games. The Moonstone is back with you, and Riker has seen your true colors. It's over between you two. If you keep this act up, aren't you afraid your wicked curses will actually come true on your mother?" Bryn threatened, her voice all bluster. I had no interest in her nasty attacks or her lame excuses. I just wanted to quickly gather the last traces of my mother left in this world, to keep them from being defiled any further. I never thought that vicious woman wouldn't leave me alone, wouldn't leave my poor mother alone. She suddenly rushed over, lifted her foot, and kicked hard at the small pile of ashes I just gathered. "If you're going to act, at least make it convincing. What normal werewolf uses a raggedy old piece of hide for ashes? Even if it's a prop, put some effort in, will you? How pathetic. I'm embarrassed for you." Bryn shrieked, her face twisted with malicious glee. The ashes were cruelly scattered again, floating in the air before settling humbly back onto the ground. It was like all my strength had been sucked out. I couldn't hold myself up anymore and collapsed onto the floor. I looked at the scattered ashes, at Bryn's face, contorted with jealousy, and at Riker's shocked, confused expression. Suddenly, I laughed. A bitter, hopeless laugh. "An urn," I whispered, my voice barely audible. "In the Howling Moon pack, a simple stone urn costs 300 silver wolf coins." I slowly raised my head, looking numbly at Riker, whose pupils were constricting wildly in disbelief. I explained, miserably, "My mother, so I could safely deliver the Moonstone to you, she sold off the last of our Creek Pack's winter furs. She even pawned the moon petal grass amulet she'd worn her whole life to a traveling merchant. She also humbled herself to borrow over 300 silver wolf coins from the leaders of other small fringe packs, just to scrape together enough for safe passage to the Howling Moon pack and the tribute. After she gave you the Moonstone, her health just collapsed. I knelt before you, begged you for just a little silver leaf herb to save my mother. But you were convinced I was lying. You took away the child in my womb, took away my right to be a mother. I didn't even have time to gather herbs for her. I was stuck doing the lowest, dirtiest jobs in the wolf fort, just to get a few common herbs to ease her pain. And you accused me of giving you the cold shoulder because I wasn't getting your so-called favor, trying to force your hand. You never listened to my pleas. Even when my mother was dying, her only wish was to see you one last time, to ask you herself to take care of me. But you cruelly refused even that small request, just blocked my messages. Yes, I admit it, I'm useless. I can't even afford a decent urn for my mother to rest in peace. I can only use this tattered hide to hold her ashes. Are you satisfied now? Seeing me like this, so wretched, seeing my mother unable to rest even in death, does it make you feel good? My words were so helpless. I bowed my head and laughed silently, a laugh filled with blood and tears. My gaze fell on the hide I'd carved with our first meeting. It was now covered in my mother's ashes. My father died young. My mother worked her fingers to the bone, raising me all by herself, teaching me to gather herbs, to heal, to survive in the harsh werewolf world. I thought, becoming the Howling Moon Pack Alpha's destined mate, I could finally stop her from worrying about survival, let her live out her old age in peace. Later, I brought Riker back to the Creek Pack. He told me his parents died when he was young, that he'd fought his way to the Alpha position through brutal power struggles, surrounded by backstabbing and lies. When my mother heard, she felt for him. She told me, again and again, Selena, Alpha Riker has had a hard life, starved for love. You must love him well, use your gentleness to soothe him. Absolutely don't let him suffer anymore, don't let him feel alone again. So, when Riker said he needed the Creek Pack's Moonstone to solidify his position, to nourish the Howling Moon Pack's blood. Moon Altar, my mother, though heartbroken, agreed even faster, more resolutely than I did. But no one expected things to go wrong so suddenly, so devastatingly. Riker was right. Why was it such a coincidence? I wanted to know too, why was it such a coincidence? If my mother hadn't trusted him so easily, if I hadn't been so stupid to fall in love with him, maybe things would have been completely different. My mother wouldn't have been literally worked to death, her life drained away, because of this damned Moonstone, because of his merciless test. It's too late for regrets now, nothing will change the outcome. I just want my poor mother to finally, with dignity, return to the earth, to find true rest. But why even now, do they have to bully her like this, trample on her dignity like this? My mother, what did she ever do wrong? All her life, she was kind and upright, helped countless injured werewolves and creatures. She didn't deserve this end. I jerked my head up, using every ounce of strength I had, and screamed hysterically at the pale-faced Riker. What did my mother do wrong? And what did I do wrong? To be toyed with like this by you high and mighty, powerful types. To be pushed to the absolute edge. Riker. I was wrong. My biggest mistake was stupidly falling in love with you, you cold-hearted monster. I was wrong about you. I got my mother killed. I know I was wrong now. I regret it. I'm begging you. Riker. Leave me and my poor mother alone. Don't torture us anymore. Please. I'm begging you. It was like all the strength had been drained from Riker. His tall frame swayed violently, and if the wolf guard behind him hadn't caught him, he probably would have collapsed. His golden eyes, once full of alpha authority, were now swimming with fear and regret. Bryn, always so arrogant, finally lost her smug look when she saw Riker so devastated and heard my desperate accusations. Seeing things go south, she actually tried one last, desperate move. She forced a smile that looked more like a grimace and even started clapping, trying to sound casual. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Her voice trembled slightly from nerves, but she tried to keep her cool. Selena, I have to say, your little sob story, it's really improved. Even I was almost moved by it. As it happens, Riker's family is thinking of getting into, the minstrel business. I think they could give you a major role. You wouldn't be wasting your acting talent, then, what do you say? But Riker acted as if he hadn't heard a word she said. He snapped his head up, glaring daggers at Bryn, and hissed through gritted teeth, words that sent a chill down your spine. Bryn, get out. I'll find out for myself if what happened here is true or not. I don't need you here spreading your lies. Startled by Riker's sudden roar, Bryn flinched, the color draining from her face. She looked like she wanted to say something, to defend herself, but after meeting Riker's terrifying gaze, like he wanted to eat her alive, she wisely chose to shut up. She shot me a venomous glare, then, reluctantly, was escorted out of the oppressive little hut by several wolf guards, looking thoroughly defeated. After Bryn left, Riker sagged against the wall as if the last bit of his strength had gone, gasping for breath. "Selena," he began, his voice strained. "Those photos, the ones Bryn showed me earlier. Of you while my mother was so sick out late at night with other male werewolves in the forest of pleasures outside the wolf fort looking cozy, how do you explain those?" He sounded like he was still holding on to a sliver of hope. How he wished those photos were real. Then, at least, it would prove his test wasn't entirely wrong, that my betrayal came first, easing the crushing guilt that threatened to break him. I looked at his pathetic state, but felt no satisfaction. He pulled out a small memory crystal from his tunic, its light faint, and activated it. A few blurry images flickered to life on the crystal. It was indeed me in the photos, wearing simple, rough clothes, late at night, sitting by a hidden campfire at the edge of the forest of pleasures. And yes, several tall male werewolves, their faces unclear, were sitting around me. Some were drinking, some gambling, someone even had his hand improperly on my shoulder. "Your mother was gravely ill, dying, and you had the nerve to be out drinking and partying with other male werewolves every night?" Riker's accusation was sharp again, but he didn't sound as certain as before. How am I supposed to believe what you said earlier? How am I supposed to believe you loved your mother?" I looked at those degrading photos, at the humiliated version of myself in them, and couldn't help but laugh. It was a sound uglier than crying. "Yes, Riker," I said, lifting my head to meet his gaze calmly. "The person in those photos, that's me. Every single one." The moment I finished speaking, Riker stumbled back a step, as if he couldn't face my honesty. You admit it?" His voice was so hoarse it was almost a whisper. You really betrayed me. While your mother was so sick." I didn't answer him directly. Instead, I slowly pulled out my worn-out little leather pouch, the one I used to keep track of my expenses. I opened it, took out the bills, and held them out to him. "This is what I earned these past few months, at the night spots on the edge of the forest of pleasures, from passing merchants and mercenary groups for drinking with them, singing for them, gambling with them. A mug of cheap ale, 1 silver wolf coin. Singing a folk song from their hometown, 3 silver wolf coins. Gambling around with them. If I won, it was mine. If I lost, I had to let them. I couldn't go on, my throat felt like it was clogged with hot cotton. On a good night, if I met 7 or 8 generous customers, I could make about 400 silver wolf coins." I took a deep breath, fighting back the tears welling in my eyes, and continued, "That much money isn't even enough to pay for half a day's bed fee for my mother at the Wolf Fort Clinic. Let alone those expensive, rare herbs that are supposed to prolong life." Yes, I admit it. I was in those filthy rooms, full of male hormones and desire, drinking and making merry with those rude, strange male werewolves, forcing a smile. But, Riker, I don't regret it. I looked at Riker coldly, trying my best not to cry. I did it my way, tried every way I could think of, to earn money, to save my mother. I didn't sell my body. And I never, at any time, did anything to wrong you, or to wrong our mate bond. Riker, from start to finish, Selena, have never owed you anything in our relationship. But what you owe me, what you owe my mother, what you owe the Creek Pack, you could never repay it, not in a million lifetimes. But now, whether you believe me or not, it doesn't matter to me anymore." I took back the bills and said with finality, "Right now, I just want to take my mother's ashes and leave this disgusting place forever. I've already put my blood seal on that damn mate relationship review agreement. Riker, stop torturing me, and stop torturing yourself. Let me go. Please, I'm begging you." Riker's hands trembled as he took the bills from me. He stared down at them, reading them over and over, every humiliating, painful transaction recorded in The roughest ink. It wasn't just records of income, there were also receipts for every exorbitant payment made at the Wolf Fort Clinic. Every entry clearly listed the date, item, and amount. Each one was like an invisible whip, lashing his once iron heart. I could see his breathing get faster, his tall body shaking uncontrollably. His doubt turned to remorse. He looked at me with tear-filled eyes, as if begging for my forgiveness. Just then, Bryn, who Riker had just kicked out, actually came back. She probably couldn't rest easy, or wasn't ready to give up, and wanted to see what was happening. When she saw the bills in Riker's hand and his devastated state, she immediately knew things were bad. She rushed over like a gust of wind, trying to snatch the bills from Riker. Riker! Don't let her fool you with these fake things. Get away from me. Riker snapped his head up, letting out a low growl like a wounded beast. He shoved Bryn, sending her sprawling to the ground. His eyes were now bloodshot red from extreme pain. You! Riker pointed a trembling finger at the bewildered wolf guards at the door. You're elite Howling Moon guards, right? I, as your alpha, order you now, release Selena immediately. Then, arrest this vicious, lying bitch, Bryn. Keep her under close guard. No one is to see her without my command. Bryn stared in disbelief. She scrambled up from the floor, trying to explain, Riker. I was just worried sick. I was trying to help you test her, to help you see her true colors. How could you lay a hand on me for her sake? I never thought things would turn out like this. Her mother dying of illness, something so absurd, how could I possibly have imagined that? Bryn was still struggling, trying to defend herself. But Riker seemed not to hear her, just stared at me, searching my face for even the slightest hint of forgiveness. After their initial shock, the wolf guards quickly reacted, moving forward to forcibly restrain the still babbling Bryn and drag her out. I ignored the chaos behind me and Bryn's piercing screams. I silently wrapped my mother's ashes in the tattered hide again, then gathered up the hide painting of Riker and my first meeting. Step by step, I left the small hut that once held my illusion of a Luna dream, but now only endless pain. I didn't even look at Riker again. I remembered when I first followed him to this awe-inspiring Howling Moon pack, full of dreams for the future and romantic fantasies. I truly had wanted to spend my life with him, to be the partner who could bring him warmth. But now, I didn't know if I should lament the fickleness of fate or curse the deceitfulness of people. The two most important people in my life, my mother, the wolf who gave me life, raised me, and loved me unconditionally, was gone forever, and Riker, the man I once loved with all my heart, willing to give him everything, had personally crushed all my hopes. I couldn't bear to think about anything anymore. I just wanted to leave this heartbreaking place as quickly as possible, take my mother's ashes, and return to our poor but peaceful valley, so she could find true rest there. I hadn't gone far from the heavy gates of the wolf fort when I heard hurried footsteps behind me. It was Riker. He'd caught up. Selena, he panted, flustered. Mom, Aunt Alara, she didn't get to see me at the end. I should go to her grave and atone. Selena, you don't have to forgive me, you can even kill me. But I just want to apologize to Aunt Alara one last time, please. Hearing him call her Mom, so suddenly, so unnaturally, I couldn't help but scoff. Just a moment ago, it was, your lowly mother. He changed his tune fast. Don't call her that, I snapped. She's not your mom. And you don't deserve to. Riker choked up, like a child who'd done wrong, pleading helplessly again, Selena, give me another chance. Just one, please. I know, it's all my fault, I was a bastard. Mom, Aunt Alara's funeral. I'll make sure it's the grandest send-off. I'll see her off to the heavens in style, please, just give me one more chance. I didn't speak, didn't stop walking. I just clutched my mother's ashes and headed towards the valley. Seeing I was ignoring him, Riker got anxious. He rushed a few steps to catch up, trying to grab my arm, but the sheer finality in my aura pushed him back. Like a lost ghost, he followed me step for step, endlessly repeating those empty apologies. Just like that, one behind the other, we walked in silence. All the way to the border of the Howling Moon Pack territory, where a swift-flowing river marked the boundary with the outside world. A few simple ferry boats were moored by the riverbank. Without looking back, I walked straight to the smallest one. Riker finally couldn't take it anymore. He rushed forward, blocking my path. "Selena. Are you really leaving?" he asked again, his voice full of reluctance. "Is there really no chance for us at all?" "Riker," I said, the words heavy. "From the moment my mother took her last breath, from the moment you personally killed the innocent child in my womb, there was never any chance for us. Your so-called test and game are over. And I lost everything. Let go, Riker. Don't drag this out. We were never on the same path." With that, I didn't look at him again, just walked around him and boarded the simple ferry. The boatman was an old werewolf. He silently pushed off with his pole, and the small boat slowly moved towards the opposite bank. I didn't look back, but I could clearly feel his gaze following me, tight on my back. Until my figure completely disappeared into the morning mist. The small boat struggled against the swift current. The cold wind whipped my face, drying the tear tracks on my cheeks. I clutched my mother's ashes and the dull, lifeless moonstone tightly. They were all I had left, and the source of all my pain. Through my mind. I tried so hard to erase him from my memory, but 2 years together, even the false warmth we once shared, how could I just forget it all? I hated him. Hated his selfishness, his cruelty, hated how he'd personally destroyed everything good in my life. But beneath the hate, there was so much pain. We weren't supposed to end up like this. If only there hadn't been those damn tests. If only he'd trusted me a little more. If only I'd seen his true colors sooner, but there are no if only in this world. The boat finally reached the shore. I thanked the boatman and stepped back onto this land that felt both familiar and strange. This was no longer Howling Moon territory. The air was filled with a sense of freedom and desolation. I got my bearings and started walking towards the Creek Pack settlement. The Creek Valley, that once poor but warm place, the home where Mom and I had relied on each other. I didn't know what changes had happened there in the 2 months I'd been gone. Without the Moonstone's nourishment, without my mother, their strong healer, to protect them, were my packmates, were they okay? The thought filled me with anxiety and unease. I'd already lost my mother, I couldn't lose my pack too. I don't know how long I walked, over how many hills, through how many dense forests, before I finally saw the small valley nestled among the mountains. But the sight before me sent a chill down my spine. The once warm Creek Valley was now a scene of devastation. Most of the low wooden huts had collapsed, broken fences lay askew, and the sparse crops in the fields were trampled beyond recognition. A faint smell of blood and death hung in the air. My heart sank. Packmates. My packmates. I ran like mad towards the depths of the valley, screaming at the top of my lungs. No one answered. The entire valley was deathly silent. I burst into our small, dilapidated hut. It was empty, filled only with dust and cobwebs. The racks Mom used to dry her herbs had collapsed. I searched every possible hiding place in the entire valley, but I couldn't find a single living wolf. Only in the small clearing in the center of the valley, I found a few smoldering campfires and ornaments unique to our Creek Pack, woven with colored feathers, scattered in pools of blood. In that moment, I thought I heard my heart shatter completely. The Shadow Pack. It had to be the Shadow Pack. They were the Creek Pack's age-old enemies, always coveting the moonstone we guarded. Before, with Mom and the moonstone protecting us, they wouldn't dare attack easily. But now I'd taken the moonstone, and Mom was gone. The creek pack, this small, kind pack, was it just completely wiped out. I sank weakly to the cold ground, tears blurring my vision. What had I done? Not only did I get my mother killed, but I'd also personally destroyed my entire pack. I was a sinner. I was a sinner to the creek pack. Just as I was drowning in endless pain and self-blame, nearly consumed by despair, I suddenly heard soft, cautious footsteps behind me. I whipped my head around and saw an unexpected figure. It was Riker. He'd followed me all this way. He stood a short distance away, looking at the hellish scene before him, at my utter devastation, and he too seemed filled with self-reproach. Selena, he began hesitantly. What happened here? I didn't answer him, just stared at him, regretting everything I'd done for him. If he hadn't taken the moonstone, if he hadn't indirectly killed my mother, how could the creek pack have ended up like this? He was the butcher. This cold, heartless demon. He had personally destroyed everything I had. It was you. I scrambled to my feet and lunged at him. Riker. You killed my pack. You destroyed my home. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you to avenge my mother. To avenge my pack. In that moment, hatred completely consumed my sanity. I just wanted to tear this man in front of me to pieces. Riker didn't dodge, didn't fight back. He just stood there, letting my weak fists rain down on his hard chest. He looked at me, humbled and gentle. I'm sorry, Selena, I'm sorry. He kept repeating his apologies, but apologies were useless. I was tired, completely hopeless. I collapsed weakly into his arms, letting my tears soak the front of his shirt. Just then, a piercing wolf howl suddenly echoed from deep within the distant forest. The sound was heartbreaking, as if crying out against all the injustice in the world. Riker and I both looked towards the sound. At the edge of the forest, lit by the blood-red sunset that made it look like hell, a small, blood-soaked figure was stumbling towards us. It was the youngest cub in our creek pack, Liam. He was alive. Some of my pack were still alive. I shoved Riker away and ran towards Liam, not caring about anything else. Liam. Liam. Are you okay? When Liam saw me, his eyes, wide with fear, instantly filled with tears of joy. He threw himself into my arms, and in a choked, childish voice, he haltingly told me how, just last night, the brutal Shadow Pack had suddenly attacked our unsuspecting valley. They burned our homes, stole what little food we had, and then killed all the pack mates who resisted. Liam had only managed to escape because an older pack mate sacrificed himself to create a diversion. He said the Shadow Wolves were still hunting for survivors. Listening to Liam's terrified, desperate sobs, my heart felt like it was being gouged by countless knives, the pain making it hard to breathe. I looked up angrily at Riker, whose face had also gone pale hearing Liam's story. Riker! I screamed. Did you hear that? This is what your so-called game has done to the Creek Pack. Are you satisfied now? Do you think that only by wiping out weak, fringe packs like ours from this world can you show off your supreme authority and absolute power as the Howling Moon Alpha? If I had any strength left, I would kill you with my own hands. Avenge my mother. Avenge my dead packmates. With that, I didn't look at him again. I picked up the terrified Liam and turned to run deep into the forest. I knew the Shadow Pack would be after us soon. I had to get Liam away from here. I had to keep him alive. He was the Creek Pack's last hope. I didn't notice that behind me, a terrifying, furious aura erupted from Riker. He threw his head back and let out a howl that ripped through the forest. It was no longer the commanding call of an alpha, but the anguished cry of a lone wolf, enraged and about to unleash bloody revenge. I clutched Liam, running for my life through the dark forest. Behind me, Riker's heart-wrenching howl echoed like thunder through the valley, lingering for a long time. I didn't look back. I didn't dare. Hatred spread through me like a poisonous vine, but I knew what was most important now, protecting Liam, the last bloodline of Willow Creek. I used my knowledge of these woods to barely evade the Shadowfang hunters, but my energy was draining fast. Liam trembled in my arms from fear and exhaustion. Just as we were about to be cornered by a group of pursuers, a black shadow shot out from the side like lightning. It was Riker. He was covered in blood, no longer the high and mighty Alpha, but a completely feral beast, tearing apart every Shadowfang wolf that came near him in the most primal, brutal way. He carved a bloody path for us but drew even more enemies to himself. "Go," he roared, his voice desperate, but his eyes were locked on me, holding a plea I'd never seen before. "Take him and live. Selena live." Tears blurred my vision. In that moment, hatred and a complex emotion warred within me. I clenched my jaw and, holding Liam, burst out of the encirclement. Behind us, the sounds of Riker's even fiercer battle with the Shadowfang wolves, and his occasional pained grunts. I don't know how long I ran. Not until the moon was high, not until Liam had fallen fast asleep in my arms, did I finally stop in a hidden cave. I settled my mother's belongings and Liam, then leaned wearily against the cave wall. Riker's image, his blood-soaked fight, his desperate cry to live, replayed endlessly in my mind. For the next few days, I struggled to survive with Liam in the deep mountains. I taught him to identify herbs, set traps, and how to survive in the harsh wilderness. We heard no more sounds of Shadowfang pursuit, nor any news of Riker. Willow Creek, our former home, was stained with blood. We couldn't go back. A month later, when we emerged from that desperate forest into a relatively peaceful outlying area, unexpected news reached us. Riker, Alpha of the Howling Moon Pack, had launched a devastating war of revenge against the Shadowfang Pack with lightning speed. He threw the full force of the Howling Moon Pack into it, sparing no cost, slaughtering the main body of the Shadowfang Pack. Their leader was torn apart by his own hands. But the Howling Moon Pack was also severely weakened as a result, and Riker himself was gravely injured. It was said he gave up his Alpha position and disappeared without a trace. Hearing this news, my heart was a tangle of emotions. He had, after all, paid a price for Willow Creek's destruction, in a brutal way. But it couldn't bring back my dead mother or my people. Years passed. 5 years, in a blink. I, with Liam, re-established a small settlement in a remote but peaceful valley. Using the knowledge my mother taught me, I became a well-known healer in the area, helping weak, displaced werewolves. Liam grew from a terrified pup into a brave and kind young wolf. He inherited the gentleness of Willow Creek and possessed a resilience forged in adversity. We occasionally heard legends of a lone wolf king. They said he was powerful and solitary, silently protecting a weak pack. He always bore old, unhealed wounds, and his howls were filled with endless sorrow and unwavering resolve. People didn't know his name, only that his appearance often brought judgment upon evil. On another full moon night, I took Liam to the ruins of Willow Creek to honor our lost loved ones. It was overgrown with weeds, but we could still make out the old outlines. I placed my mother's wooden totem and the dull, moon soul crystal, on a relatively flat stone and lit the ceremonial moongrass. Liam stood beside me, his voice young but firm. "Selena, I will make Willow Creek thrive again. Our people's sacrifices will not be in vain." I smiled and stroked his head. Just then, a familiar howl drifted from a distant mountaintop. It no longer held the violence and despair of before, but a sense of weathered experience and protectiveness. Liam looked at me, puzzled. I looked up at the bright, clear moon, as if I could see a lonely, resolute figure in its shadow. I knew it was Riker. He wasn't dead. He was atoning in his own way. I didn't respond. The debts between us had long since become too complex to unravel, tangled with the blood of Willow Creek and my mother's death. Forgiveness, perhaps, would never be possible. But the hatred, it seemed, had also faded with the long years. I stood up and took Liam's hand. Let's go, Liam. Our road ahead is still long.